always find it really exciting when young people are interested in a career in property, and I'm delighted to bring you an update on the journey of a young man whose journey I've admired and I'm sure you'll find very inspirational as well. It's Luke Marchbanks of Belvoir. And Luke, we're coming up to the year anniversary of you actually starting your lettings journey. Now tell us how it's gone.
Well, firstly, thank you for coming over this afternoon to see me. So thank you for that. Yeah, no, the start's been absolutely fantastic. Business has been very strong. So since you saw me was actually during my training.
Yep.
That seems like a very distant memory for myself. Since then, we bought an existing business which was trading in Bournemouth. We've refurbished, brought in the Belvoir brand. And we've been trading since the 1st of June.
Fantastic. And you've actually got 4 members of staff now, and they're all out on appraisals and viewings because you've actually been very, very busy. Has it matched or even exceeded your expectations?
It's completely exceeded my expectations. We've been very proactive in creating business. The market is very buoyant at the moment, despite all the Brit exit and the summer holidays. Business has been very strong. We've far exceeded our business plan, which is all very exciting, and it's creating an extremely positive curve of things to come, and even bring on board another team member.
Fantastic. Now, you're only 24, and one of the things I know you were concerned about was if your young age would be a kind of some form of disadvantage, because, you know, in property it tends to be more mature people that have had a lot of experience. Has that proven to be the case?
It was always something that I was aware of. I'm starting out in the agency business, is that typically the industry has older, more mature people within it. So being younger was always a challenge. For me that was one of the reasons why I bought into the Belvoir brand. But also it was creating that perception of myself through making sure that I was up to date with legislation, having that specialist knowledge, and creating a perception that actually, even though I am younger, and maybe have a little less experience within the industry, I do have that knowledge that is of value to my clients.
And perhaps also your young age means that you can perhaps relate more to tenants because they're of that demographic, aren't they?
Well, absolutely, and we've got plenty of younger tenants at the moment in this area. So creating those relationships of people who are going to be, good, strong tenants for now, potentially homeowners or landlords in the future, is always, a relationship worth building.
I can imagine that you've had a lot of challenges and a lot of learning curves. What would you say was the steepest part of your learning curve in setting up a property business?
Well, you're absolutely right there, Vanessa. And business is cutthroat sometimes, and it's always very nerve-wracking going into it, especially coming from a corporate employed background. For me, the biggest learning curve was creating that specialist knowledge. Belvoir have certainly helped with that through the training courses and ongoing support. Because the business aspect is something which does come quite natural to me. I've always been sort of that natural leader, if you like, but you have to back that up with sound knowledge and create a reputation where clients come and seek you out, and that's how I've started to build my business.
Now, I know you've got a 4-year-old son. Is he kind of at the forefront of your mind every day, that really you're creating something that's ultimately going to benefit him and your family?
Well, that is the reason why I started business, was to create that future plan, a future business, which is always going to be, a family-orientated business. It's very difficult starting out, and I've had to spend a lot of time within the business, growing and developing it, and naturally that's always going to cause issues, at home, where you can't always spend as much time as you'd like to. But hopefully we will start to reap those rewards of the hard work initially, and once we've stabilised and set up the business to move forward, so that I can pull back and start to manage the process more, and taking on another member of staff will certainly help with that. Hopefully then it will allow me to create that work-life balance.
So just to finish, what words of advice or wisdom would you give to young people watching this who may be wanting to get into property, either as a landlord or also, your way to get in as a kind of a different route, because ultimately you will want to own your own properties, and this is a way for you to do that, isn't it? To build the business first and then go into investment. So what words of advice would you give to young people thinking of going into the property world?
Well, absolutely, I completely agree with what you just said. For me, the first step is always going to be the hardest. So the one piece of advice that I would give is go for it. You absolutely have to do your research, due diligence, which is something that you preach on Property Tribes because it is so important. You need to know that what you're going to do is going to have a positive outcome. But once you've done that, you then have to go for it, because otherwise it will never happen. So certainly speak to the experts, speak to people like yourselves, people who have started, so people like me, and I'm always happy to give some advice and help with that journey, certainly.
Well, that's fantastic, and we hope that anybody that's got any questions for Luke will pop them below the thread. But Luke, honestly, I just want to say I feel so proud of what you've achieved at such a young age, and your commitment and your diligence and the hard work that you've put in, and I think you're a shining example to anybody young in property that wants to get started. So I really do wish you all the very best, and hope we can catch you again and maybe in a year's time and see how things are going then. So all the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.